Hey, what's up, nerds? It is Paul back at Radio Free Hammer Hall here talking about the Slaves to Darkness. I guess it's not technically a battle tome yet, but the new Slaves to Darkness rules that we have for Age of Sigmar 4th edition. Got Dan here back again.
Glad to be back.
Did Cities with me last time, and now we're here to do Slaves to Darkness. And here to get with it. How's it going, man?
It's going well. I'm really excited. I have this army. It's all painted already, with the exception of the chariot, because I don't want to paint it. But, I definitely have 3,000 points sitting in my display case, across from me.
Nice.
And I really hope the units that are painted and done are viable. So we'll discuss that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. In general, I really love this book. I am very, very happy that I already own this army. I started actually working on a reworking and repainting project on it. Actually, you can see this guy here is in process. It's going to be like a white armor and gold trim and red accents. So
yeah, I saw your Braxia. It came out beautiful.
Oh, she's not even done yet, dude. She's not even done yet.
Well, fine. It's beautiful as is. It's better than anything I can do. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you took that second place painting award at ACO personally, going for the first place now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I lost. I was out of first place by 0.05 of a point.
Well, yep. 2025, here you come.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into this. We have two main sets of battle traits for this. We have the Mark of Chaos, the Eye of the Gods. Marks of Chaos, I guess I'll start over there because that's, for me, that makes more sense to start that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your units, pretty much everything in the army, I think, has either the ability to pick a Mark of Chaos, or it just already has that keyword. So there's 5 different ones: Undivided, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh. Undivided is add 1 to wound rolls for the unit's combat attacks against heroes and monsters. A bunch of stuff just natively has that. Like all of the Darkoath stuff, Be'lakor, Eternus, the
Furies, and some of the monsters will have Undivided.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Khorne, you add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons when the unit charges. Tzeentch, this one is different than it was before. This is the only one that's substantially different. You get a 4-up ward against mortal damage inflicted by spells and manifestations.
Yeah, and that's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing someone with wizards, they're throwing a manifestation at you. Unless they literally cannot buy if they don't own them, there's no reason not to have combat manifestations because of how early and aggressive you can get with them. Yeah. And you don't really lose anything by summoning them.
Yeah, and this is also, just to clarify, saying abilities used by manifestations, and attacking is an ability now.
Yeah.
So, you're warding everything when a manifestation attacks you.
Yeah, and Nurgle,
go ahead.
Just when you're already an army that has very good armor to begin with, you're basically saying there's no real reason for you to throw your swords, or the swords do mortals, which you now negate half of, or your gnashing jaws, anything that's violent against your troops. You're going to save 75% of the damage coming your way between armor and ward. So you can be pretty tanky against magic heavy stuff.
All right, and then we've got Nurgle, subtract 1 from wound rolls for combat attacks that target the unit. And Slanesh is add 1 to run and charge rolls.
Yeah.
I feel like all of these have a place, and I think my default would be like my hammers are all going to be Khorne, and then everything else is going to be Nurgle.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too. Maybe I have a 1 or 2 heroes with Undivided, just to go hero hunting with them.
Yeah.
But like adding 1 to attacks if you charge with counter charge being a thing is huge.
Yep.
And depending on how you build your army to support that, it's a really good bonus being Khorne.
Yeah. Yeah, and -1 to your wound rolls. I played all Nurgle marked Slaves to Darkness for all of 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how annoying that is for your opponent. It is
even
to the point that it's like NP.
It's even worse now because the things that you'd slam into back then were like 3s and 3s. Now the things that you got to worry about are like 4s and 2s, which is now 4s and 3s, which is a lot worse. So things are going to be hurting you a lot less between the difference in how units are statted. There's a lot of ways to negate to increase hit bonuses, but not a lot of ways to increase wound bonuses.
Yep.
And being -1 to wound is going to hurt, especially when a lot of armies are wounding on 4s. Now they're wounding on 5s. That's a huge jump.
All right. So Eye of the Gods. This works a bit differently than it did in the previous book. So this is at the end of every turn. You pick each of your friendly Slaves to Darkness units that destroyed an enemy unit this turn. You can't target non-hero monsters or beasts. So then you make a reward roll for those units. And then an important thing is that you can re-roll the reward roll for the target, but if you do and you roll a 1, they take D3 mortal damage.
Which is hilarious. Love that.
Yeah, which is like, I feel like that's not even a downside to fish for the thing you want.
Absolutely. I mean, the odds of that happening, because realistically, what's going to happen is you're re-rolling if you roll a 1 or a 2.
Yep.
Anything else, you're probably keeping. And even then, there are times where the 2 matters. So it's a 1 in 36 chance to get completely snubbed. There's a 1 in 36 chance.
Yep.
If that happens, it happens. But everything else, like, it's a 1 in 12 chance for you to get snubbed and then heal heal. Like, it's so great. You're probably always going to reroll if you get a 1 or 2, which means functionally less than 10% of the time you're getting something great. Unless you've gone crazy and you've rolled a 4, which is the word save bonus multiple times, then you're probably not re-rolling on anything else.
Yeah. So let's go through these real quick. On a 1, you are snubbed by the gods and it has no effect. On 2, you heal 3. If it's a 1 wound unit, that doesn't mean anything. It does absolutely nothing to you. But for anything multi-wound, that can be very valuable. Unnatural Grace, you add 1 to hit rolls for the target's combat attacks for the rest of the battle. Number 4 is the Lurid Aura. The unit gets a ward of 6. If the unit already has a ward of 6, it becomes a ward of 5.
Yeah.
So that also doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be from this. If it just has a 6-up ward on its war scroll, then it gets a 5-up ward instead.
Which is great.
Yep. And then number 5, Slaughterer's Might, add 1 to the Ren characteristic of melee weapons for the rest of the battle. And number 6 is you can pick any other effect on the table. This is very good, I think. I think this is better than the old table.
Absolutely. The old table, it was you didn't like you still want the rend, you still want the bonuses, but increasing your ward save is huge, especially now that there's a lot of other things that you can interact with, and because unit sizes are generally smaller, they're not going to impact as much damage to you. So having a better defense is going to feel more impactful than it was in the previous edition.
Yep. So all of this I really like a lot. It feels like Slaves to Darkness. It's very similar to what we've had before. I think all of this is an upgrade, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right, our battle formations, we have 4 of them, and they require a little bit of brain power and keyword bingo for some of them to figure out how good they actually are.
Yep.
Excuse me. Okay, Legion of Chaos. When you have at least one friendly Warriors of Chaos hero and one other friendly Demon hero or Darkoath hero on the battlefield, add 2 to control scores of friendly Slaves to Darkness units while they are contesting an objective that is wholly outside of friendly territory. Now, that trigger is confusing because, like, first of all, what even are demons in this army? It includes Demon Prince, Be'lakor, and Archaon.
Yeah.
3 things. You're probably going to have one of those 3 in your list. All 3 are hard to kill. And then you just need one other Warriors of Chaos hero or just a Darkoath hero. So I feel like this is a pretty decent default choice for a lot of lists.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's really mission dependent because of how it's worded. Like, I played Border War the other day, and there's only one objective completely outside friendly territory, which is great. But, like, if you're getting that objective, you're probably already won.
Yeah. All right. Up next is the Godwrath Warband. You pick an objective that is contested by any friendly units to be the target. You place a defiled token next to the objective. Then roll a d3 for each enemy unit contesting an objective that has the defiled token. On a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the enemy unit equal to the roll.
I love this so much more than Legion of Chaos, and the reason is very dumb, but I'm going to explain right now. It's like, unless you're fighting against big multi-wound units, then if it's like a bunch of 1-wound guys, this is functionally doing the same thing as Legion of Chaos. Because I can just kill 2 models on that D3, and then I reduce their control score by 2.
Yep. And
doing damage is pretty good. And, you can set this up turn 1 because you're going to have you're not limited to your own objectives. It's not determinant by mission. So I like this a lot more than Legion of Chaos, especially because there's I don't want to lose my Demon Prince and then, not have any Legion's abilities.
Yeah. And this gets stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, because you will hit but by the time the game matters, you're going to be triggering 3 separate objectives, and it's every unit that's trying to contest it. So if you bring in a hero on that unit with someone else, there's a chance that hero, gets hurt. I mean, it's only the end of your turn, so you're not popping it off at every control thing, but
yeah, that would be very strong if it was every.
But I like it.
Yep. All right, Despoilers. I feel like this is the flop in the bunch. So it's once per turn in reaction to your Demon Prince using a fight ability. Then you have a non-hero Slaves to Darkness monster or beast that hasn't fought yet, fight immediately after.
Oh, I just want to say one more thing. The Gaunt Summoner is also a demon.
Oh, right. I forgot about him. Yep.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm just so used to seeing him only in Tzeentch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Despoilers is just letting your demon prince do the chain activation into a monster or a beast. But doesn't get any buff from doing it.
No, I mean the chain activations can be very good. Like especially if you're building some stylized army with demon princes and Bellicors and then like slaughter brutes or something.
Yep.
Because then you go, cool, my demon prince strikes first, or these all units strike first. The demon prince gets strike first. The demon prince then chains into the slaughter brute, and you can do some, like you can do a Slaves to Darkness monster mash with this. I don't know if that's any good.
Yeah,
but I don't think when we get to there, I don't think the slaughter brute is necessarily bad.
Yeah. All right, and then Darkoath Horde. Once per turn in your movement phase, if there are any Darkoath heroes on the battlefield, you can pick a non-hero, non-unique Darkoath unit that has been destroyed. Roll a die. On a 3-up, you set up a replacement unit with half the number of models remaining within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That more than 3 inches from all enemy units is interesting. Not many things let you set up 3 inches away from somebody.
Yeah, and with how the size of objectives are, like theoretically, it'd be hard, but like you can theoretically put something on an objective.
Yeah. Or close to.
Yeah.
Or, within, set it up like just under the 6 inches from the battlefield edge and then close enough to an enemy unit to charge onto an objective.
Can you still move after doing this?
No, you cannot. It's a core rule that you can't move a unit that was set up this turn.
That's what I thought.
You can charge, but you cannot have a normal move. So if you're going the Darkoath route, I think this could make for an interesting Darkoath glass cannon-y sort of list.
Yeah, like when we talked cities, we talked about like a little bit about how the flagellants are just suicide bombs. This is what you actually want to make a suicide bomb because you get all your bombs back.
Yep. I think my pick is the God's Wrath Warband. Is probably what I'm going to use pretty much all the time.
I think same. Just the chance to do an extra 2-3 damage and potentially steal an objective from that is good. I mean, the passive of Legion of Chaos is also good, but I just on principle I like the damage more than controlling objective scores. Maybe experience will change my opinion on that, but
all right. Heroic traits. Favored of the Pantheon. You get an Eye of the Gods roll as if it were the end of the turn. So you get one of your heroes starts off with an Eye of the Gods roll. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Radiance of the Dark God. In any hero phase, you pick each damaged friendly unit wholly within 12 inches. Roll a die. For every 3-up, you heal 1 and heal 3 if it's a monster. For me, that's a pass.
I still think there's some like gas in the whole monster match build, and this does help it because this is also heal your Bellicor.
Yes, or Archaon,
or exactly, and combining that with other stuff, that's not bad. Like you definitely have to be building a stylized army for it. But the fact that the stylized army can benefit from this is pretty cool.
And then Deathmonger, once per battle in a combat phase, the hero can fight twice. And the second fight has to be a strikes last, but that's not a big deal.
No.
There's a lot of stuff that you want to fight twice that are heroes in this army.
Yeah, especially when those heroes are getting buffed by Eye of the Gods.
Yeah. Yep. So I think for me, there's like 2 out of 3 of these choices are really good for pretty much any list that you're going to put together. And then the third one is situational. It can be really good. So
I just want to say that like I played a lot of Gits in 3rd edition, and the trolls healing D3 on each player's hero phase in that subfaction made them so obnoxious.
Yeah.
So the fact that every damage unit within 12 gets to heal potentially a model, a wound up to 3, it's not bad, but you have to be playing that monster list.
Yep. All right, then our artifacts. Infernal Puppet. Once per battle at the start of turn, you pick a visible enemy wizard within 24 inches. For the rest of the turn, each time the target casts a spell, you inflict D3 mortal damage on the target. If the target is destroyed, the effects of the spell do not resolve. It hurts that it's once per battle.
Yeah. I also just don't think that you're ever going to be in a situation where a wizard dies to this.
Yeah.
If I'm ever put in a situation where my wizard's going to die if I cast a spell and you roll a 3, I might just not cast. And that could be a big incentive, but it's the same time, like, it's the same odds that, like, I just didn't resolve it. Or I use a rally before to heal up my wizard before doing this. I don't think there's ever a situation where someone dies because of this.
Yeah.
It's great if you want to, like, mess with Nagash. But, because wizards are so toned down with their spellcasting bonuses.
Yeah, this is just not as viable. And if you run into an army that just doesn't have wizards, this does nothing.
Yeah. That's kind of the problem that I think with the Conqueror's Crown, which you'll get to next.
Yep. Conqueror's Crown, subtract 5 from control scores from enemy infantry units while they are in combat with this unit.
I love this, but I also just think in this version of AOS, movement is going to be so key that I don't even know how many people are going to be playing infantry.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some armies that are absolutely going to have to, and this is great against them. But, like, you're going to see a lot of Slaves to Darkness lists that are all cav. You might see a lot of Nighthaunt lists, which are majority cavalry. You might see a lot of Lumineth lists that are cavalry, or Ogre lists that are monsters. And the Conqueror's Crown messing with control scores, like 5 is huge.
Yeah, 5's a lot.
But, if you do have that
Nintendo in the chat, shout out to him. We were just talking about him a little while ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think the Conqueror's Crown's where I'm going, but we got the Realm Warper's twist rune.
Yeah, once per battle, you pick a terrain feature within 12 inches. If the terrain feature is not obscuring, it gains that ability until the start of your next turn. Then you roll a die for each model, friendly or enemy, within 1 inch of the target. For each 5+, you inflict 1 mortal damage on the unit.
It's cool.
I feel like this is very situational.
If you tell your opponent that you have this,
they will stay away from terrain.
Yeah. Or they'll stay away from, they won't necessarily be there. You have to be within 12. And it can hurt you as well.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, yes, the other two, the Infernal Puppet and the Conqueror's Crown, they're completely dependent on what your opponent is running.
Yeah.
And this isn't in that sense, but, like, you don't get to pick these during deployment. So I think I'd rather gamble on running against infantry than this.
Yeah. I think Conqueror's Crown is my pick out of this. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm liking Conqueror's Crown.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There are matchups where this rune is really good, I will say.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, like against Sylvaneth, that could be bad for them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so spell lore, Spike Tongue Curse cast on a 5. This is your unlimited. It is a 12-inch magic missile that does 3 mortal damage flat. And if you are unsuccessful or the spell is unbound, the caster takes D3 mortal damage.
I don't know if I'm ever casting this.
Yeah, that feels risky.
Not only like ignoring the risk, it's 12 inches.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is something that, like, you know, Be'lakor will probably cast this. Archaon will probably cast this.
This is what you do when you have a Tzeentch wizard who has the 4-up ward save against this spell.
Yeah.
Like 3 damage is good, and casting on a 5 is good, but compared to the other options on the list, you're almost always going to go for a manifestation because you're not going to play an army that's so dedicated to wizards that you ever feel like you need to cast this, in my opinion.
Yep. All right. Binding Damnation casts on a 7. Range is 12 inches. Enemy unit strikes last until the start of your next turn. Love that.
Yeah.
Casts on a 7. Ouch. But still, it's worth it for that power level.
Yeah. When you can throw around strike last, you can even, don't forget, it's hard to get off, but you can counterspell this and do this in your opponent's turn.
Right.
And
it casts on 8 when you do that.
Yes, but if you can do it, then you can theoretically get 2 opponents striking last.
Yep.
And with Be'lakor, which we'll see later, you can have up to 3 units striking first.
Yep.
So there's a lot of combat manipulation that can be done with that spell.
Yep. And then we got Demonic Speed, casts on 7, unit wholly within 12 inches, gets a 3d6 charge.
I mean, that's just gravy.
Yeah, it's always been a good spell, will always probably be a good spell.
Yeah. That's the first thing. That's one of the first spells you try to cast. Yeah. Or that's what you cast as soon as your opponent runs out of unbinds, if you have more wizards than they do.
Yep. And then your manifestation lore, all of them cast on a 7, and all of the scrolls are much later in this PDF.
Yep. But now, the big boy.
Big Daddy Archaon. He is, 890 points, I believe?
Yeah. Yep.
Let me flip over to my
890 on the dot.
890. Nearly half your army.
I don't know what board meeting they were in where they're just like, you know what, 900 feels a little bit too much.
Yeah. I would love to hear that conversation.
Let's just make people feel it's like putting $3.99 on an item when you go shopping. Like, it's not $4, but it's $4.
Yeah. So he does a bunch of stuff. He does a bunch of damage. He definitely can hit hard.
Yeah.
But his hitting hard has no abilities other than the negative ability of Companion.
You have the Slayer Kings, which is your ability.
Yeah. I mean, Slayer of Kings still does the Slayer of Kings things. If you have 2 wound rolls of 6, it auto slays whatever it's attacking.
The hero is automatically destroyed, so you can't do it to non-hero monsters.
Yeah.
So no more, auto-killing random zombie dragons in FEC.
Yep.
I mean, you just kill them with the rest of the attacks, but
got the Eye of Shirian. Again, this is once per battle. You predetermine what the priority roll for the next turn is going to be, and if you are if you're on the second in the turn, this slightly increases your odds to double.
Yeah.
And favored warlord, you just get to pick an extra chaos mark for him, and you pick it at the start of the game, not in your list.
No. Hold on. My question is does this force your opponent to double and therefore not allow them to get their battle tactics?
I believe you only do that if you choose the double.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, this would be really punishing and random.
Yeah.
Like this would be very randomly swinging the game a lot.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly look that up because that's a huge thing to. Yeah. I know that you can't I know if you give your opponent the double, they don't lose that option, but I'm not sure about how this interacts with it. So I'm gonna look that up.
Yep, and then we've got the 3-headed Titan ability, Rampage, that has one of 3 different effects. You can pick an enemy within 6, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models to a maximum of 7. Each 3-up does mortal damage. Skull Gorger, pick an enemy in combat, roll a die. If it exceeds that unit's health characteristic, 1 model in the unit is slain, and you heal X, where the X is the unit's health characteristic. And then Spell Eater, pick a manifestation within 12 inches, roll a die. On a 2-up, it's banished and inflict D3 mortal damage on the unit that summoned it. And he's 14 inches, fly, 3-up save, 5-up ward, 25 health, control 10. The only question I really have is all of this madness actually worth 890 points?
I feel like if you're taking Archaon, you're taking Archaon because it's Archaon. You want to put the biggest dude in the game on the table and have fun with him.
Yeah, you're taking him for the lulls, not because he's good necessarily.
I mean, he is the danger. Like,
right.
14-inch move. He provides. He has all of the marks. No, he has undivided.
Yeah, he has undivided and one that you pick at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. So, that's an extra +1 to charge if you go with Slanesh. I don't think you need the extra rend with him. Or the extra bonuses to wound or whatever.
Yeah.
Which you do always get. Or realistically, you just go Nurgle to make him even more annoying.
Yep.
And he also can benefit from the Eye of the Gods.
Yeah. He can get Eye of the Gods.
Yeah.
The other important thing that I don't know if I emphasized with Eye of the Gods, it used to basically just be heroes and then a couple of select units that had it.
Yeah.
Now it's just every unit has it.
Which is, it used to be you had to specifically mark undivided, which was kind of giving up the best bonuses that you have options to and exchange it for a gamble.
All right, so Demon Prince. Does this War Scroll get the most improved player award?
Absolutely. No question about it.
This went from roll a 12 on Eye of the Gods, and you're like, meh, I'm not going to upgrade to a Demon Prince because it's not an upgrade, to holy crap, this is going to go on a lot of lists.
Yeah.
So he's got 6 attacks at damage 3 with crit mortal. That is really powerful. He's going to kill a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, on average, you're just doing 3 mortals.
Yeah.
Without anything else happening.
Yep, and then if you mark him Corn, he gets an extra attack. And 10 health, realistically, you're always going to give him wings, so he flies 10. 3-up save, 6-up ward. And then...
Actually, you know what? I don't hate the trophy rack in this.
I feel like you don't really need the extra rend. You just don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, it completely depends on what else is going on.
Yeah.
But going up against hero monsters, coming out with a Ren -2, 3 damage.
Yeah.
That's nothing to shy away from.
Yeah. The big thing, though, is the Ruinous Favor in your hero phase. So every hero phase, you pick a friendly, non-unique unit wholly within 12 inches that has the same mark of chaos as your Demon Prince. You roll a die. On a 3+, they get to roll on Eye of the Gods. So this is just bonus Eye of the Gods rolls.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, he's good. Like very good. Yeah, he's still a bit expensive. I'd still probably take him. You know, he has a nice 3-up armor. He comes with a ward, and you know that means that you also have the chance to improve that ward to a 5-up on, which is also great.
Yeah.
The more Ruinous Favors you hand out, the stronger your army is just going to get. And this is flat 3 damage is huge.
Also of note, he is not unique, and this ability is not a once per turn army ability. So if you have more than one Demon Prince in your list, you can do this more than once.
Yeah, if you want to play the slot machine, take 3 of these guys and put it on one hero, and have that hero get, you know, turn 1, he roll 4 times on the chart. See how many extra rend and bonuses to hit you get.
Yep. The other thing of note here is that this doesn't have to target something else, because it doesn't say another friendly unit. It's just pick a friendly non-unique unit, which with the same mark of chaos, which is this Demon Prince.
Yeah.
So like that's pretty, like, it's a nice default that he can just roll on himself if you don't have something else you want to buff. And he might always just be the best target anyway.
What's probably happening is, like, turn 1, you're giving it to, like, your Lord on Karkadrak or some other, or like a Theridon or something. And then you go, or like your Chosen, your Varanguard, or your Chosen, or your Chaos Knight. And then you go, cool, now it's my turn, because they are not positioned to be wholly within 12 anymore.
Yeah, so he's really good, and he's not a lot of points either. He is 280 points, which is not ridiculous. That is a very strong ability and a very strong melee profile for 280 points.
Yeah. And he's still infantry, which is, you know, cool, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's relevant for another ability later.
Yeah.
Varanguard, these guys just only got better. They got their weapon profiles basically combined, and they didn't really lose anything out of that. It just kind of all got stacked. They still have their once per game, they can fight twice. The big thing to me, though, is Demon Forge Blades, 3 attacks, 3s, Ren 2, 2 damage, charge +1 damage, and crit mortals.
Oh, yeah. These are devastating. Yeah. And
so,
on the charge, you mark them corn. Yeah.
If you mark them corn, then a unit of 3 is throwing 12 of those attacks when they charge at damage 3. So you're going to be doing 6 mortals. Average of 6 mortals right off the rip, just for the pleasure of having charged.
And then you fight twice and do another 12 mortals.
Yeah. When these guys have a mark of corn and they get a charge off, they just make things explode.
And they will get a charge off because you're casting the 3d6 charge on them.
Yep.
And if you fail that charge, next turn you're just going to counter charge them.
Yeah.
These are the bullies.
Yeah, they are the big bad bullies of this army, and they're 310 points for 3, which feels like they're going to go up.
I feel like you do not need to reinforce this unit, but holy hell, what do you do against someone who does reinforce this unit?
If you reinforce this unit, you are taking down a Mega Gargant every time you charge.
Yeah.
Like,
and
just like no question, like sit down.
And the thing is you didn't even bother including the Eye of the Gods that you're probably rolling for them if you take a Demon Prince too.
Right. like just very good. These guys are going to see a lot of play. The question is, how many of them do you put in your list more than are they going in your list?
Yeah. The one reason why I'm not running 12 of them is they're $100 for 3. That's like I'm too cheap to buy more. I got the Abraxia box and I stopped. But yeah,
I mean, I've got 9 sitting on my desk right now, and I have 2 more boxes of them and another like 9 painted up downstairs. I have a problem.
Yeah. But you know what? It's actually called an answer to whatever your opponent puts on the table.
Yep.
Be'lakor.
Also the big, beautiful beast.
Also the answer to your opponent's 6 block of Varanguard.
Yes. He still has the Dark Master, which with the new way rules are written, it is so much cleaner and easier to understand. Yeah. Once per battle, enemy hero phase, pick a visible enemy unit. You roll every time that unit activates an ability. Everything's an ability now, so it's very clear what triggers this.
Yeah.
You roll a die on a 3-up, they can't do the ability.
Yeah. So no moving, no
cuts a unit off once per game.
Yeah, it's huge. And yeah.
He's also got a big 8 attack blade at damage 2 with crit auto wound.
Yep.
He ignores modifiers to his save. He has a very good spell, Enfeeble Foe, casts on a 6. You subtract 1 from the hit rolls for the target, and the target cannot score critical hits until your next turn.
There are some armies in this new edition that live and die by how many 6s they can roll to hit.
Yeah. This guy's like, no. No,
like you can get your like 6s do 2 mortals each. That's wonderful. Now you gotta just deal with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Enfeeble Foe is what you're casting when you do Unleash spell.
Yeah. And that is not all. Once per turn in the enemy combat phase, you pick this unit and up to 2 friendly Slaves to Darkness unit within his combat range to be the targets. You roll a die for each one. On a 4-up, the target has strike first for the rest of the turn.
That is, if that ability was not there, I would still take this guy.
Yeah.
The fact that I now have the manipulation of strike first on my opponent's turn, and my opponent isn't going to know who has it until after they've already committed their charges and after they've already done their hero phase abilities, because their non-fight abilities happen before mine.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to just go, cool, I'm actually fighting before you. I'm sorry.
This
that's
is a great
scarily
ability.
Huge. And it's every enemy combat phase. And that's on top of the spell that he can cast because he's Wizard 2. You're going to cast Enfeeble Foe, sure. But then you're also going to be like either 3d6 charge for your counter charge, or you're going to go, you fight last. Yeah. Yeah. I love Be'lakor.
Yeah, Be'lakor is fantastic. He is just going to take control of the combat phase very frequently. I really love him a lot. And his buddy Eternus, I mean, solid profile overall on damage, 6 attacks, rend 1, 2 damage, +1 on the charge. I don't even know which ability to start with. We'll just go left to right. Yeah. In your movement phase, if this unit has been destroyed, you roll 2d6, add 1 if Be'lakor is on the battlefield. On an 8+, you set up a replacement of him on the battlefield anywhere more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So he just pops back to life.
Yeah.
And the other important thing is he's not very expensive either. He's 230 points.
I mean, it's like right on the edge of, is this where I want to take this, or do I need another unit? But like, functionally, 9-inch move, 9 wounds, 3-up save. It's not breaking the bank.
Yep. And then anytime the opponent declares a command within 12 inches of him, you roll a die, add 1 to the roll if the unit is in combat with Chaos Legionnaires or Chaos Furies. On a 5-up, that command has no effect, and the command still counts as having been used, and the command point is still spent.
In the previous edition, towards the end of it, I played a lot of KO, and I took the sub-faction that basically has this rule.
Yep.
The amount of times it caught people off guard and just won me the game because they couldn't rally, they didn't get their all-out defense, was huge.
Yep.
I don't think the in combat with Furies or Legionnaires are ever going to matter, because Furies are just going to leave the combat, and if you're fighting my Furies, I don't care if you all out attack.
Yeah.
I might care if you all out defense, but like the fact that this is going to stop countercharge, the fact that this is going to stop power through,
yeah.
The fact that this might even stop count on the spell or the prayer reaction.
Yeah.
This is great. This is the reason you're taking him. The fact that he also just comes back to life if he dies.
And he has a pretty decent damage profile. Like, he does one of those roles in an army that I love, that he's a pretty fast hero that can do good damage and just punk stuff. He comes back to life, and he has a really good ability on him. Like,
and taking him with Be'lakor, because then he's not eating up another detachment slot, is just
that's the other thing. He can go in Be'lakor's regiment.
It's great because, now it's even, you're playing more control.
Yep.
Because not only am I saying that unit isn't going to be able to move, shoot, attack, do whatever, but this unit isn't going to be able to do its cool stuff with commands. And like, there's army specific commands. I haven't gone through every book yet, but if someone says, sorry, you don't get the artifact that you took for Night Hunt to bring back a dead unit, sorry, only I get to bring guys back.
Yeah.
Like, that's big.
Yeah. The other thing to point out here too is that Chaos Legionnaires also have an ability that shuts off commands. So like, stacking this up with Be'lakor is just like, it's just the blue deck of lists. And it's like, no, you don't get to have fun right now.
And this is not like, when you think about Magic, you don't think of your blue decks also being the tanky, I'm going to destroy you in combat style decks. And they've given those abilities to Slaves to Darkness, and I think that's what makes this army really fun.
Yep. All right. Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. Another guy whose stonks have risen.
Yeah.
So he has a pretty decent attack profile. +1 damage on the charge. Move 10. Health 8. Save 3. The big thing is that he has one of these chain fight abilities.
Yeah.
So when he fights, he gets to pick another cavalry to fight right after him. But if you do so, you add 1 to wound rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn.
Because what we needed was to make Varanguard stronger.
Yeah, exactly. That was my first thought when I read this. I was like, I read this scroll, then I flipped back to make sure Varanguard were cavalry, and I was like, oh, that was a mistake.
The fact that they specifically made a whole thing about like racial profiles and different, like, making it feel like all people were like evenly statted, where monsters were going to be 4s and 2s, and orcs were going to be like 4s and 3s, and made you generally feel that like units being on 2s and 2s are gone, and then Varanguard just do that.
Yeah. letting this guy plus a command point equals Varanguard hitting on 2s and 2s, and like on the turn that they fight twice, because this and all out attack are not there for the rest of the phase.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you need to use the all out attack at that point, because what's surviving? Not necessarily the all out attack, but the extra attack. Because after you kill that unit, great, you've now got an Eye of the Gods at the end of the turn coming.
Yep.
And that will just heal up some of the damage you took.
Yeah, if you took any.
Yeah.
If you took any. This guy's 180 points. I feel like he's going to be a nice slot into a lot of lists.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think that the thing that I'm seeing in this army is that there's a whole bunch of really high quality stuff fighting for the same slots.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you a little bit of ability to mix and match and find exactly what you actually want in your list and how you want to theme your list.
And this is where the problem with points come in, because everything looks so good and is so fun and can lead to such an interactive combo style of play that you're just like, well, now I'm broke. I did not realize I only have, 4 or 5 units.
Yep. All right. Gaunt Summoner on disc. He can put a unit up in the Silver Tower, and in your movement phase, he can plunk that unit back down on the battlefield, holding within 12 inches of this unit and more than 9 inches away from all enemies. Definitely really good.
Yeah.
Does not have to be a Zinch unit either.
Yeah. This is not in, like, I don't think I'm ever taking him.
Yeah.
But there are certain builds where, like, yes, I do need to have this unit not be deployed on the table for the simple fact that when you are looking at your battle tactics, one of them that is kind of easy to do turn 1 if you have a unit deep trekking in is taking control of an enemy piece of terrain.
Yep.
And this just gives that to you.
Yeah.
Unless, like, your opponent is, like, making counterplays. It all depends on the mission and the terrain setup and everything. But, like, if you're not going in a heavy cav or really movement-supported list, this might be what you need to do if you're given turn 1 in order to stay competitive in the race for battle tactics.
Yep. And then Arcane Imprisonment casts on a 7. You pick an enemy hero in combat with this unit to be the target. If the unmodified casting roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, it's automatically destroyed, and for the rest of the battle, the unit can't be picked by abilities that allow a replacement to be set up.
So this is how
in combat caveat is where this falls apart to me.
Yeah. This is, like, it's very kind of clear that Eternus, it almost feels narrative that, like, Eternus dies, gets reset up, goes wizard hunting because he's a hero that's in the back line, goes to kill your Gaunt Summoner, then your Gaunt Summoner does this. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like it's telling a narrative story, but you're never getting Arcane Imprisonment off, because if this guy sees combat, he is dead.
Yeah. The regular old Gaunt Summoner, though, is 80 points cheaper, and I think better.
Yeah.
So he does the same deploy a unit in reserve thing, but you can set that unit up more than 7 inches if you get his Divert Realm Gate spell off.
Yeah.
Which is real good, because that's a pretty safe charge distance.
Especially if you're doing it to a Slanesh unit.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I think it's better, but he's 170 points for Wizard 2.
Yeah. Wizard 2 is not nothing to knock at.
Yeah, I mean, the spells in this army, I think, are just not good enough for that to really be the thing that you're like, oh, I'm taking a wizard just to have those spells. And being able to set up a unit like that.
I mean, setting up a unit of cavalry 7 inches away, or like something like theridons 7 inches away, and then giving your next unit a 3d6 charge. Not bad.
Yeah, for sure. It could be pretty good. I'm not sure if I want to run that gambit or not, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you get into you have a bunch of different tools at your disposal, and just it's probably not worth it to try and do it, but who knows what the future will hold in the new seasons and whatnot.
Yep. Ogroid theridons.
I love
There's unit of 3. They're throwing 4 attacks each, 4s, 2s, rend 1, 2 damage. You add 1 to the damage characteristic of this unit's melee weapons once per game, and you have anti-infantry +1 rend.
I love this unit. They're like 200 points.
Yeah, they're 200 even.
4 attack. Like, this is what you give that 3d6 charge to. 5 attacks, because if you're doing it, you're giving the marker cord.
Yep.
5 attacks, 4s to hit, which probably is becoming 3s, and this is your monster stat profile that you can improve on. So now they're 3s and 2s with rend 1 or 2, damage 3. Like, this is a bullet that you send into someone.
Yep. Yeah, I think they can be. I think they're going to be a lot stronger if the meta is heavy infantry.
Yeah, this is going to catch people off guard of how much better they are in this edition compared to the old. Yeah.
They also got upgraded to a 4-up save.
Well, they used to have that if you took the shields, but no one took the shields.
And that's the other important thing here too, is that you don't have 2 weapon options anymore. You just have 1 weapon profile.
I also don't think you're able. Sorry, I don't think you were also able to mark them in the previous edition.
Yeah, you could.
Oh no, you know what? You could. You couldn't give them banners. That's what it was. My mistake.
Yeah.
So you couldn't give them the magic banners. But
yeah. All right, Chaos Sorcerer on Manticore. He's got Oracular Visions. So the good news is it is now a 5-up ward instead of a 6-up ward. The bad news is you have to roll a die, and it's on a 3-up. Yeah. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Then he's got his Venomous Strike, Rampage. You pick an enemy monster he's in combat with, roll a die on a 3-up. The unit strikes last. And how many points is this guy? Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore, 280 points.
I'm not a buyer. When I think about this, like, once again, I haven't had much experience in this new edition so far. I don't think many people have. But when your Rampage is very specific against one thing, your opponent just has the option to avoid that. I mean, obviously you have a 12-inch movement. You can, be the one to kind of dictate where your combats are going. And you can always use your Oracular Visions on yourself. But it's only your hero phase ability, so your opponent can get it first. You're 12 wounds on a 4-up save. You don't have a natural ward.
And he's Wizard 1. That's the other kicker, is that he's 280 points for Wizard 1.
If he was Wizard 2, I'd be like, okay, there's reasons to go for this. Because you're passing out a lot of cool... you're passing out... He's now a buff piece who can defend himself against a monster. But I don't think there's ever a reason to go into this. Just because there's no real point about giving a monster fight last. You're never killing the monster with this.
Yeah.
Like, you can do like a combined arm strike, but if a monster catches him 1-on-1, or if he's the only one to get in, the Lord on the Wizard's just dead.
Yep. All right, Chaos Lord on Manticore. I mean, I think I'm equally pass on this. His Rampage is +1 to hit rolls for combat attacks against a monster he's in combat with. And it also affects the companion weapons. 5 attacks with crit mortal damage 2. His passive adds 2 to the control scores of friendly warriors of chaos units while they're wholly within 12 inches of him. I mean, that's
I'm going to tell you right now why it's bad. Why is a Chaos Lord? Why do you take a 3-up save guy, put him on something, and his armor becomes worse?
Yeah.
If he was a 3-up save, I'd think he'd be interesting.
Yep.
Because then you actually you can actually output some damage against monsters.
Yeah.
And the control score modifications, not bad, especially when you're doing other stuff like the crown or you're in that sub-faction that modifies it. Like, this could be interesting if he didn't just die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for all of the control score modifier stacking that you can do in this army.
Yeah.
That's definitely a possibility of an avenue to go down.
And it's kind of something that you need when your guys are that expensive as well.
Yep. All right.
I just don't see a reason with a 4-up save. Now this guy though, this guy's stonks have gone up dramatically. He's got the same 5 attacks, crit mortal 2 damage. He does the chain attack, and it's any chaos infantry also get +1 to wound when they are along with him on the chain attack. Which is not bad.
Right, and it's what I think is really solid here is that he makes your chosen even better.
Yeah, he goes with the chosen, and the chosen
he power pairs really nicely with chosen.
Yeah.
But if you're not like that's what he's really for. Like, this army has a lot of these power pair things. And he basically just goes with chosen. There's not really another unit that you want to do this with.
I mean, you can do it with warriors, but yeah, it's chosen. It's really what you're going for.
Yep. All right, and then your Lord on Karkadrak, his same hex weapon profile. Then he's got his claws and horns on the mount. You're really here for the abilities. If this unit charged, you can pick 3 enemy units within an inch of him to be the targets. Roll a d3 on a 2+, deal that amount of mortal damage to the target. And then once per battle, he can pick up to 2 friendly non-hero warriors of chaos units wholly within 12 inches of him to be the targets, and you add 2 to their charge rolls for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, this guy's cool. I think I'm just going to go with a regular Chaos Lord on horse.
Yeah, I think the Horse Lord is better. I actually I had another one of those still on sprue because I bought freaking 4 of those Eternus Warband boxes.
Dude.
He's I am not going to go out and buy another Karkadrak Lord. I think I just started building a new Lord on horse because I don't have an AOS one.
Yeah, I mean, the 70-point difference between these two guys confuses me. Just because of the utility difference between them.
Yeah, and if this was like once per turn and it was 1 unit, I think you could justify it.
Yeah, because then you can do a lot of fun stuff because then you can be cool. And I'm setting this up. It's 7 inches away because of my Gaunt Summoner. I'm giving it +2 to charge. You cannot escape this. Yeah, that's cool. But
or even with Gaunt Summoner on disc and get the 9 inches, and you add 2. Now you're charging on 7s. And that's pretty good. But I'm just not really a buyer of this guy.
Or 6s if you add in the Slanesh bonus.
Yeah.
This is where your wizard stocks are. Him and Be'lakor is, in my opinion.
Really? I am not a big fan of this guy. However, he is 120 points.
That's why.
So
No.
Yeah. So like that's why. Like he might end up in a lot of lists just because you have that odd number of points and you're trying to decide what to stick in.
Yeah. This is what you sneak in. Also just because of the 3-up award.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Handing out the ward is good when you're only paying 120 points for it.
120, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And this is, I mean, like, if you're going to try and cast that damage spell, you mark them Tzeentch, because none of the others matter.
Right. Yeah, totally agree.
And, yeah, like, you're doing him because you want to go 3d6 charge and have a ward save.
Yep.
And then launch your unit at the opponent. And for 120 points, that's where your wizard should be. You don't need the extra fangled manticores that are going to be doing functionally nothing.
Yeah, you want a cheap dummy that can spit out some spells.
Yeah.
All right, Exalted Hero of Chaos. This guy makes me so sad. So sad.
I get that there's like a reason narratively to have this, but this really should just be an alternate scope for the Chaos Lord.
Honestly, like he should just have better abilities. Like that's or like he's an exalted hero. His whole point in my mind is this guy's a combat hero.
Yeah.
Why does he have basically the same attack profile as a Chaos Lord?
I mean, he does have the cool anti-hero and anti-monster attack, but that's not what you're sending into into monsters or heroes.
Yeah, plus 1 damage against monsters and heroes. I mean, he'll probably like take down a 5 wound hero.
Now a hero monster, he would get Ren 3 damage 3 against, yeah?
Yeah.
Which that's cool, but I don't think there's many hero monsters that you're going up to with 6 attacks if you're Khorne, 3s and 3s, Ren 2, 3 damage, Ren 3, 3 damage. I don't know if you're killing that.
Yeah.
Though it'll hurt him, but I think this guy needs like some other passive to like benefit a Warrior of Chaos unit or something to make if the Chaos Lord goes with Chosen, then he should go with Warriors of Chaos and give him something.
I mean, I think this guy, he would be great if he was like 8 attacks, crit mortals.
Yeah, or just even keep this and also add crit mortals. Then he'd be takeable.
Make him like a crazy kamikaze bomb.
Yeah.
Because he's not like he may have a 3-up save and 6 health, but he's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time.
And what you want, like he has the profile where it's okay to fight against some infantry, but he's not statted to go against infantry. Like he doesn't have the bonuses against them. Just
looking at this war scroll, like the image on the war scroll, is it just my eyes or is his cape slightly out of focus?
Let me take a better look. Oh no, it's slightly out of focus on like the edge.
Yeah,
edge of the cape. Yeah, that's out of focus.
Yeah,
even the photographer couldn't bear.
I mean, it's not even a photography thing. It's just like
or an editing.
They just like layer up the pictures and keep the one they want, or keep the pieces they want of each one. They just missed that piece of this one. Yeah. Okay, Ogroid Myrmidon. This guy is at least useful now.
Yes.
He does the whole chain fight thing with theridons, and adds 1 to their hit rolls. I wish it was add 1 to wound rolls.
But... No, they already wound on 2s.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so hit rolls is, I guess, what you need. And while he's damaged, you add 2 to his attacks characteristic, which is cute.
Yeah. If only making him Tzeentch made him a wizard, then you can try that bad spell and hurt him yourself.
Yep. He's also not terribly expensive, I don't think. Yeah, he's 190 points, so he's relatively expensive or inexpensive for this army.
Just want to point out, there's also the first ranged attack we've had in this book. Or no, one of the Gaunt summoners had one. That was dumb, but
yeah,
This is the one guy that has like a reason for you to take him, and combat 3s and 2s, and that's that can mess something up even without the anti-monster rend.
Yeah. So I think this guy's not half bad.
Yeah, I think you might even want to just mark him. I don't think you even need to mark him Khorne. I think you can go Nurgle or Slash with these guys just because of how much damage they already output. I don't think you need to inherently increase that when their survivability might be more important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is at least useful now. He has a purpose.
Yeah.
Is it a competitive purpose? I don't know. Is it going to be a thing that you put in a list because you think it's cool and it actually does something and you don't feel bad about it? Like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is a guy to have fun with.
Yep. Chaos War Shrine. He's a priest. You don't have a prayer lore, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, this model is just so unbelievably ugly and dated. I just look past the scroll, but I'm gonna read it because
the model is nice if you don't look under it and realize you forgot to model the underside.
Yeah, the priest on top is actually a cool model.
Yeah,
I like him. Okay, so 6-up ward for your units holding within 12 of him. His attack's not exciting. His prayer is on a 4. You pick a visible Slaves to Darkness unit. Also note that his passive is only to Warriors of Chaos, so it doesn't hit your Darkoath stuff.
Yeah. So here's a really dumb question.
Yep.
Let's say I have a unit within this guy's aura.
Yep.
And then I roll the lurid aura. They have a 6-up ward because they are in this guy's aura. Does that then become a 5-up? And then does it drop down to a 6-up when they're outside of that ward? How does that interact?
Address this question to AOS FAQ at gwplc.com.
Yeah, this is my first legitimate FAQ question, because if you're telling me that I could start off with a 6-up ward and then lurid aura to get a 5-up, that's not nothing.
Yeah. All right. His prayer goes off on a 4. You pick one of these. It doesn't have to match the mark anymore, which is solid. Undivided when a unit. Oh wait, no. Yeah, it doesn't have to match the mark.
You still do.
Okay. For undivided, when you rally, the unit gets 3 additional dice. Khorne, you add 1 to hit rolls. Tzeentch, you get a 5-up ward. Nurgle, you add 1 to wound rolls. And Slanesh, add 1 to the number of dice rolled when making a charge roll for the unit to a maximum of 3. If your chanting roll is 8+, you can pick 2 units.
Oh, this is fun. I know he's probably not worth it, but I love the War Shrine. And adding +1 to wound rolls or hit rolls, depending on if you're going and what you need, is also really good.
I mean, I think the one that would make me take this, honestly, is Slanesh. Like, if I like a Slanesh mark on my units, 3d6, another source of 3d6 charge is great.
Yeah. On another source of 3d6 charge, and then you throw in Be'lakor and all that other manipulation of strike first, strike last. Yeah. I think there's gas there.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how competitive it is, but hey, it's a list to screw around with for sure.
Yeah.
Soul Grinder, another model that is ugly as sin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I cannot believe that this hasn't been squatted. I know it's a thing in 40K, but why?
Yeah, I think cool. The thing is that it looks so 40K and it doesn't have AOS looking options at all.
Yeah. I feel like this is something that should be moved over to Chaos Dwarves when they come out.
Yeah. It can run and charge.
Which is cool.
Nothing else that exciting. He does impact hits against infantry.
So, interesting thing about run and charge, because it's a lot rarer of an ability now. That also means you can redeploy and countercharge in your opponent's turn.
Yep.
So that is something, but is it worth 3? Is it worth 3 command points? No.
3 command points and however many points this,
which is too much. It's like 310 or something like that.
Yeah. Where the hell is it? Soul Grinder 330.
330. My bad.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Chaos Chariots. I don't know what this is supposed to do.
I don't know why they kept the weapon options.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense to me. And it has a bunch of weapons that do fuck all. Like this is just not doing any damage, and it might do D3 impact hits.
Like this is something like this is stuff that like chariots should all have heavy bonuses on the charge. Swift Death is cool, but like, and I understand like narratively this guy has a whip, this has a great blade. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're better on the charge. But like those Chaos Steed traveling hooves should get crazy bonuses on the charge. Or you should be doing more. You should have the old ogre rule or something similar to like an ogre. I charge, I do this much damage on the charge. Chariot's not doing crazy damage on the charge has always been a huge flavor fail.
Yeah, and if you're playing the I was just looking at it just because I was curious. This is in the Spearhead Warband, and it's almost identical War Scroll. Like,
yeah, this is the reason why I haven't built that Spearhead yet, because I don't want to have this unit.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be forced to use this, but I mean, I guess
if this thing was like 50 points, I'd be taking it. Or if this thing maybe had a control score of 5. Yeah. If this had a control score of like what, or if this thing said like on the turn it charged, buff its control score by 3.
Yeah.
Then that could be interesting. But like, yeah.
Yep. Gorby's Chariot does do more damage, I guess. Yeah. And when it uses Power Through, you do an additional D3 mortals and add 3 inches to its move.
That's cool.
Yeah, that makes it interesting. At least it's thematic that it's just bloody running over.
Yeah, like that's a thematic chariot rule. I like that, but like this is like what you're taking if you can't fit anything else in your list, or you just built the wrong thing out of your spearhead.
Yep. And it's 120 points.
And this, like, at the same time, why not just take a Chaos Sorcerer? Why not say I'm giving this unit a 5-up ward because of whatever?
Yeah. And only a 9-inch move. Like, I feel like chariots are supposed to be fast.
I mean, I get it. It's the like fat dumb beast that's pulling it around, but
yeah.
Darkoath Chieftain.
Darkoath Chieftain. Really cool model. Like, I really love the model.
As one of the few survivors from the original Silver Tower.
Yeah. Oath of Murder once per battle. If he destroyed a hero or a monster, he gets strike first for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And then he does chain fight with Darkoath Infantry. You add one to the attacks characteristic. That could be very good.
It can be, because when it's basically supplementing the fact that you don't have Mark of Court.
Yep. And I think it's good specifically with Darkoath Savagers.
Yeah. Side note, why does this guy get crit mortals but our Chaos Warrior Exalted Hero doesn't?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I have questions, Games Workshop. I have questions.
Okay.
All right. Darkoath War Queen also has crit mortals.
Yep.
Not sure why compared to our Exalted Champion.
Nope.
Once per turn, you can pick an objective, roll a die on a 3-up. Other friendly Darkoath units have a 5-up ward while they are contesting the objective.
And this unit always has a 5-up ward.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean that makes Darkoath interesting. And then her Oath of Supremacy, if she's wholly within enemy territory and charged for the rest of the battle, add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made with friendly Darkoath units that are wholly within 12 inches of her.
Which
that's an easy condition to meet.
It not only is that really easy, it's you take multiples of her.
Yeah.
And then you take, like, this is, if you're playing Darkoath, you spam like 2 Darkoath War Queens and several chieftains, and now you're going, you know, all my guys have +1 to hit, they all have +1 attack.
Yep.
And you're doing something.
Yeah. It could be like Darkoath. The Darkoath side of this is a lot of synergy, I think.
Yeah. You gotta be very careful though, but this is the fun unit.
Yeah, this one is, you know, these guys are Varanguard on foot. Holy crap. So they have the same fight twice, once per game ability. 3 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage 2, crit mortal.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a buyer of these guys big time.
Yeah. There's nothing much else to say. This is your unit that you're giving your +1 to wound with when you chain in with your Chaos Lord. And you give them all out attack. They're 2s and 2s. Going there with 15, 21 attacks, and you're going to miss, you know, you could do a lot of damage. I stopped doing the math. Yep. But it's 21 attacks, 18 are going to hit, and then another like 3 off. Yeah, it's nutty.
Yeah, it's 15, a lot.
Yeah, 15 rend 1 plus an additional 6 mortals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 3-up save, 3 health each. Like, these guys are awesome.
And I got to find out about that FAQ. If they can get them to a 5-up ward real quick, that's going to be scary.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chaos Warriors, these guys weren't great in the last edition, and they are worse now. Add 1 to their attacks characteristic if they are contesting an objective you control. So I mean, I guess their whole point is they're supposed to be the guys that hold your objectives for you.
Yeah. I mean, this is what you give the Mark of Nurgle. You give them a ward save. You say, they are on here. They are not leaving. And you know what? If your dumb wizard that's giving them the ward save has that crown that negates control score, then like you will hold that objective for the game.
Yeah. They're 200 points. I feel like they probably should come down a little.
I feel like 170 would be a nice sweet spot for them.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Even 180 is fine.
Yeah.
All right. Chaos spawn, considering that you can't turn anything into a chaos spawn anymore, I'm not sure there is a reason to ever put these in a list.
Other than the reason to take them is you're 60 points under and nothing else fits.
Yes. They cost 60 points, so they're going to get shoved in lists, have a disproportional representation in lists just because of weird numbers. If they're wholly within 12 inches of a friendly demon prince that has the same mark, you can re-roll your random characteristics for your move and your attacks. 2d6 attacks on 5s, 4s, no rend damage 1, crit 2 hits, and companion. So you can't really buff these guys.
Yeah, I mean they're not even there for controlling stuff.
Yeah, they control 1.
Yeah.
Woo.
And you can never increase it. Like this exists for the sole purpose of I did not have enough space in my list, so I had to fit this in.
Yeah. They need a better model if they're going to keep these guys around too.
I mean, yeah, the model's great for like conversions and doing weird stuff, but that's for other units. It's a great source of bits, but not for this.
Yep. Chaos Knights. These guys got some upgrades.
Yeah.
3 attacks each. 3s, rend 1, damage 1. When they charge, they're +1 damage and +1 rend.
Yeah.
And they're 4 health each now on a 3-up save.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that they are 250 points.
Yeah.
And
at that point,
a lot for this.
Like, it comes down to, like, what am I taking? Am I taking 5 Chaos Knights and a Spawn or Varanguard?
Yep.
I'm taking Varanguard.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a place for them.
Yeah. I think if you take 10 of them in a block, you give them that ward save, and you send them flying, like, things are going to have huge problems getting around it.
Yeah. I think if you put them in a unit of 10, then they're probably pretty dangerous. But that's 500 points. It's a quarter of your list.
Yeah.
I think their points right now are just too high.
Yeah.
If they come down a little bit, then they'll be good.
These should probably be around 200, 210.
Yeah. All right. Mutalith Vortex Beast. I mean, this has a lot of text.
Yeah. I think
it's 190 points.
This thing isn't bad. Like, this is one of the things that gives you the option of running a monster mash list.
Yeah.
Because if you do the monster mash, you're taking that item that he's healing D3, and then he's healing potentially another 3 on top of that every hero phase. And if you have, like, a bunch of these, it's not terrible. Especially if you're doing the horrific absorption. I mean, obviously you don't get to choose, but...
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not a buyer. Not at all.
No.
Especially because that model is terrible. Same thing with the Slaughter Brew.
Slaughter Brew's fun, too. But you're throwing this into... Because this is like the pet unit that you want to have to make your army unique.
Yep. This guy's 240. I would rather just have a unit of knights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4s and 2s hurt it because it's companion, but like this, like in that very specific monster mash list, you still have the heals, you still have a bunch of other interesting stuff going along with it, but yeah.
All right, Centurion Marshal. So this guy has 6 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage 2, and +1 damage on the charge. And he does chain fighting with any non-hero undivided and adds 1 to their hit rolls.
Yeah.
So, like, this guy is at least, like, he's an interesting piece in, like, a Darkoath list. If you want to go that direction.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking.
Other than that, I don't know what to do with him, but
I mean, the problem is you're getting the +1 to hit from the queen once she accomplishes her thing. So, like, is that a bit redundant? Maybe.
I mean, he's 180 points.
Yeah, no, but like 180 points is like also just more bodies and other stuff. And I feel like if you're playing Darkoath, you want just bodies.
Yeah. I mean, he has a half decent damage profile.
He does, especially when he's fighting like heroes and monsters because of that undivided keyword. 6 attacks, you can get it up to 2s and 2s. Rend 1, 3 damage. It's not nothing.
Yeah. And it's a super cool model, and I wish it was better. All right. Chaos Legionnaires. 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, rend 1, damage 1. No special abilities. However, once per turn in your movement phase, pick an enemy unit within 6 inches. Roll a die on a 4+. The target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, so that's it. That's something. Like if you're building that I'm controlling you list, you might want to include this with your Bellicor and Eternus. In fact, I think you should include this with them. Because, like, even with a 1 wound 4-up, like their profile is nothing. But on a 4-up, you're saying you're not getting your all-out defense. You're not getting your you're not getting your redeploy.
Yeah.
And you're not getting your counter charge. Like, that's
it. The other great thing about these guys is that they've got that ability on their war scroll in their 90 points.
Yeah.
Nice cheap screen. They have a great ability. I can see these ending up in a decent number of lists. Like, they're just nice little utility guys that can also go stand on objectives and give your opponent a headache.
Yeah. It's like the utility that you get out of this is surprising.
Yeah.
Like, this might be like what you throw on your flanks to like turn 2 or turn 3.
Yeah.
Kind of chain them out a little bit and grab that back of the stuff. Like, these have points. These have a use. You're probably going to use Furies for that though, but
yeah. Raptorix. 3 attacks, 4s, no rend 1 damage. Companion, and if it charged this turn, add 1 to attacks.
Great, it's Corn.
From control score of 1. It's a companion.
Why? There's no reason to.
Yeah. They're 90 points. I'd rather have Legionaries.
Every single time.
Yeah. Not even close. All right. Chaos Furies.
And because this is what you take instead of the Raptorix. If you're that invested in something that moves, this is what you go for.
Yep. Why is this not going up? Chaos Furies. They are 100 points.
Yeah, for the 10 points that the upgrade is insane, because you get your sneaky low devils ability before your opponent gets to make any attacks.
Yep, and if this unit's in combat, you roll a die on a 3-up. The unit can immediately retreat as if it were your movement phase without the mortal wound penalty.
Yeah, this is,
and they fly 12. The fly 12 is just where it is at for these guys. Like, they're going to be scoring a lot of battle tactics for you.
And also just the dumb fact that they can also just, once you only score your, like, flank hero tactics and stuff, like, this can just go off and hunt a wizard.
Yep.
Like, their profile's not that bad if you're wizard hunting, because it's going to be, like, 18 attacks, 4s and 3s, because they're undivided.
Yeah.
Like, they will kill a wizard.
Mindstealer Spheranx. Once per turn, pick an enemy unit within 6. Roll a die. If the roll exceeds the target's control characteristic, they strike last.
Most people's control characteristic is going to be 1 or 2.
Yep.
So that's really good. And this is but there's so much strike last, strike first utility in this book.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need it.
Yep. 170 points. I feel like that's actually, like, probably about right on the points. I just don't if he fits in with the points value, that might be worth it.
I feel like I'd just rather have the Furies. Like, he has value and it's good, but everything else that he is specifically designed to do is found elsewhere in the book.
Yeah.
And all those other things do other stuff in addition.
Yep. Fulmoroid Crusher. Yeah, he's got some attacks. He can throw a rock.
Yeah.
Once per turn in the combat phase, you pick a terrain feature within an inch of him, then pick each other unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of that terrain feature. So that's including himself.
Yeah.
You roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll.
Does this also damage terrain features?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, like, if your opponent's taking this, they just really would rather be playing Warcry.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Yeah. Cool model.
Yeah.
All right, we're finally on to the endless spells. All of these cast on 7, if you recall. So, Ward of 6, save of 5, 6 health. It has an attack profile. It is present.
Yeah.
Any charge phase, if this manifestation charged this phase, pick an enemy unit within an inch, roll a die for each model in the unit. For each 6, inflict a mortal damage on the target. If any models are slain, subtract 1 from their hit rolls for the rest of the turn.
This ain't bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid to have for something that's for free.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about this, honestly, is that the thing has a big honking base that's just going to get in your way in zone control.
Yeah.
I think that's out of these 3 endless spells, I think this might be the best one, only to just be a thing in the way.
Yeah, and the movement of 9 for what is functionally a wall is ridiculous. This thing will die, but if it charges in and you get there and you just do one, you're gonna do a block of 20 is gonna take 3 damage, so you're gonna lose something. And minus, this ain't bad. I do think you're casting, if you have 3 levels of wizards, this is your 2nd to 3rd spell.
Yep. And despite the appearance of the thing, it can move in any direction. It's not restricted on its movement. So I like having this. I don't hate that this exists in here.
Yeah.
All right, 8-fold Doom Sigil. I don't know how you're actually going to get this to work. If 2 or more units, friend or foe, were destroyed this turn for the rest of the turn, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Slaves to Darkness units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this manifestation. There's a lot of conditions on that.
Yeah. The only way I see this even being somewhat viable, I'm just checking how far away you got to set it up. 12 inches, so 24. This is what happens when this is good in a Darkoath army because your units will die. Yeah, that's true. So this is what you want to further buff your Darkoath units. Yeah. But that's about it. Because now you're adding 2 to their attack characteristics and +1 to hit. Yep. Yeah, this is what you need in your Darkoath. But in regular Warriors of Chaos, your stuff isn't dying that easily, and if you're killing your opponent's stuff, they've already died for this to trigger. Yep.
Darkfire Demon Rift. Each time a spell is successfully cast by a unit within 12 inches, he gets a ruinous energy point to a maximum of 6. Each time this manifestation uses his shoot ability, add 1 to the attack's characteristic for each of its ruinous energy points, and then you reset it to 0. This is another one. I mean, this has a smaller base than the other one.
Yeah.
But this one is also good at getting in the way, and that's about it.
I mean, what's going to happen is if you're taking this for the other ones, like the Realm Scourge, you have this automatically. And turn 1, it's not bad because it has basically a 20-inch threat range. Which means you're able to like kind of hit some opponent stuff before the game begins. And you might have 2 more spells to cast within 12 of it. So you can get maybe 3 chip damage on something with some decent rolls.
I mean, this is some free chip damage that is going to be annoying for your opponent to take out, and can get in the way. Just charge stuff and try and tag it in combat and be annoying.
Yeah. If you do get it up to 6, if it is hitting on average 10 shots a turn, that's a decent shooting unit that your opponent will probably have to do something about. And a banishment on a 7+ isn't the easiest. Like, it's still a 41% chance to fail.
Yeah. So I mean, it's fine. Nexus Chaotica, the thing that I forgot even existed. This is the terrain piece. You in your hero phase, you roll a die, and it gets a number of power points equal to the die to a maximum of 12. In your hero phase, if the terrain feature has 3 or more power points, you can pick a friendly wizard within 3 inches to get +1 to their casting rolls.
Yeah, and with your spells going off on 7s, this ain't bad.
Yeah, this helps your casting actually happen.
Yeah.
The problem is just having it in a place where you want it to be. And you have to have the wizard within 3 inches of it to actually get that ability.
I think what you do is like center line, you put like your Warriors of Chaos, or maybe like center line, you put Be'lakor, and then behind Be'lakor you have the Nexus Chaotica, because that can give you a decent amount of range where the Nexus Chaotica isn't mucking up your field, and it's behind you and like safe from enemy attacking. But because of Be'lakor's fat butt and the 3 inches, you're able to like still get in range, and then Be'lakor can like get that +1 to cast, throw out that Demon Fire Rift and cast another spell. And like it's not nothing for the +1 to cast.
Yep.
Especially
then for 9 power points, you get a 24-inch range. You pick any number of enemy units within 3 inches of the source. And you roll a die for you roll a d3 for each target. On a 2-up, inflict that amount of mortal damage. If you fire into a crowd, I guess you can get value out of it, but I feel like the thing that you're going to do is just get +1 to cast all the time.
I mean, this is what you do with it if you lost your wizard, or your wizard needed to move away, because your wizard's Be'lakor, and Be'lakor needs to be like in the gist of it. So it gives you an option when you're not wizarding, which is fine.
Yeah. Darkoath Wilderfiend. This one is interesting. Each time a model is slain within 12 inches of him, he gets a sacrifice point up to a maximum of 6. If there was more than one friendly Darkoath Wilderfiend,
so you can't double stack the model dying. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Primal Sorcery, you pick one of the effects. Mind Shroud, you pick an enemy unit within 12, roll a number of dice equal to the sacrifice points on him. On a 5-up, the target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn.
That's
that is very powerful. Warping Balefire, pick an enemy unit within 12, roll dice equal to sacrifice points for each 3-up, deal a mortal damage to the target. Not bad.
No.
And then Dark Might, he heals X equal to the number of sacrifice points, and he's got health 9. 5-up save, 5-up ward.
If he wasn't 190 points, I'd be all in. If he was 100 points, I'd be buying him. I'd take 3 of them. But at 190,
He's a little pricey.
I can't justify it because I could just take Legionnaires.
Right. Right. This is probably going to be more valuable or more reliable on the shutting off commands. It's only for the rest of the turn, and you can only do it in your hero phase. So you can't get this top of 1. You probably can't do this in the first battle round at all because you need stuff to die first. Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. He's fun. Just probably would be. Yeah, again, probably good in a Darkoath list because you're going to have a lot of stuff that dies.
I think maybe, but the thing is like, do I take this or do I just take a wizard and give my Darkoath guys bigger charges, or do I give them, or do I take the wizard so I can throw out the Nexus Chaotic and give them all +1 attack? Because 120 for wizards a lot cheaper than 190, and I feel like maybe you take one, but
yeah. All right. War Chieftain Darkoath Chieftain on War Steed. He can let your Darkoath Cavalry, so that's your Fell Riders, formerly known as Marauder Horsemen, within 12 inches, they can reroll charges. And once per battle, if this unit destroyed an enemy hero or monster, he gets strike first for the rest of the battle, which is not that exciting.
It's also not going to happen.
Yeah. It's not even going to happen. How many points is this guy? 180.
He'd have to be 90 points for me to take him.
Yeah. Yep.
Because like with his movement speed, I'd rather have Furies.
Yep. Darkoath Marauders. They are cheap. Oops, went too far. 100 points for 10 of them.
I think you always take them in blocks of 20s. Like, I do think there's gas in the Marauder list. I think you take 2 War Queens, 2 fighting guys, like 4 blocks of these dudes of 20s, and you bring back 10 of them. And considering you give them with the shrine thing, you give them plus +1 to their attacks because they are dying. You give them +1 to wound, depending on what you're fighting, because they are undivided. You can give them +1 to hit, and you give them they can get up to 4 attacks each.
Yeah, and then they can get if they charge on 8+, they add 1 to the Ren characteristic for the rest of the battle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm personally not really a buyer of these. Playing that sort of crazy glass cannony Darkoath list is in no way my play style.
Yeah. There is a very viable build with this of a lot of cool things, because you're looking at this profile and it's 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, Ren -1 damage. I don't think that's worth it for 100 points. Then you remember all the other cool stuff you can do with them, like give them 3d6 charge, give them extra rend multiple times. Because your Demon Prince can look at these guys and go, cool, ward save, or cool, extra rend. And now they're rend 2 because they made a long charge. Give them 3d6 charge so they always have the rend. They have gas.
Yeah. These guys I actually do like, the Darkoath Savagers.
Yeah.
When this unit's contesting an objective that you control, that is wholly within enemy territory, they get a 5+ ward for the rest of the battle. 2 attacks with crit mortals on a unit of 10 dudes.
The problem is you can't reinforce them, but otherwise, yes, they're great.
Right.
If these guys were reinforceable, I take a block of 20.
Yeah, I think that's really the downside of them, but they feel like they really want to be a reinforced block to just spam those crit mortals, but you can't do that.
I mean, it's still 3 mortal wounds on average. More if you get the extra attack bonuses.
Yep.
It's not nothing. I do think these have a place. And the more units you have that die, the better it is for your endless spells that poop out extra attacks. So it's not nothing.
Yeah. 130 points for 10, so they're fairly cheap too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like them. They're I don't know that I would ever actually use them, but I like them. They're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Darkoath Fell Riders. So you can either take javelins or swords. The swords are +1 damage. The javelins can be thrown 10 inches. You subtract 1 from any hit rolls of shooting attacks that target them. And if this unit charged, and it's only in combat with 1 enemy unit, and the enemy unit is only in combat with this unit, add 1 to the Ren characteristic of its weapons for the rest of the battle. Also note that it's weapons, not melee weapons.
Yeah. I think you go javelins here.
Oh, yeah. Because I think these guys move 12, so they're really, they're fast. There's 5 of them on cav bases, so you can string them out 5 wide, put them sideways. I think they're really good for screening, harassing flank units.
Yeah.
They're more expensive than Furies. They're 150, but I think they're kind of fighting for that same place with Furies.
Yeah.
It's a which one do you prefer kind of a situation.
Yeah. They're cool. Obviously, if you want to do a Darkoath build, you're buying multiple of those Darkoath boxes.
Oh yeah.
So if you have them, they're not bad, but you got to really be going for that strategy. And javelins are cool. The random fact that you're occasionally going to end up doing 2d3 damage to someone, and they're not going to see that those javelins are that powerful for no goddamn good reason.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I like these guys. They're probably going to end up in my lists occasionally.
Yeah. I still prefer Furies, but yeah. Now, why is this at the end? I have no idea. It's because they forgot her.
Yeah. Abraxia. You're pretty sweet.
She's very good.
Yeah. 3-up save with a 5-up ward and 14 health. She ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Her damage profile is not that exciting. I don't think you're really taking her to do damage.
I mean, she still does damage for how many points she does. She does a fair bit of damage.
Right. She's what, 280, I believe? 360, sorry.
Yeah,
360.
No. Yeah,
so kind of
expensive.
All right, so Warlord of the First Circle. If a friendly Varanguard uses its Relentless Killers, that's its Fight Twice ability, wholly within 12 of her, it doesn't have Strike Last. Definitely can be useful.
Yeah. So there's
Rampage, Roar of Damnation. It's against an enemy hero. On a 3-up, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. That's not bad.
Yeah. It's the blood of a molten Varnite. That's
Roll a die. Each damage point inflicted by a combat attack is allocated to this unit. On a 4+, inflict 1 mortal damage on the attacker. That's a really
if she's
good
in combat,
ability.
she's doing on average 7 mortal wounds to something.
Yeah. All right, and then whenever she's in combat, her spear has a special ability. You roll a d6. On a 1, you allocate 1 damage point to her. On a 2, there's no effect. 3 to 5, add 1 to the damage characteristic for the rest of the turn. And on a 6, the effect of the 3 to 5 applies and has crit mortal for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, this is why she's good in combat. I mean, it's a 33% chance that you're hurting yourself or not doing much, but they made her fight.
Right.
And 14 wounds with a 3-up save and a 5-up ward.
Yep.
That's something.
Yeah, she's good.
And dumb thing, because we said that it's not useful, but the Radiance of Dark Glory does heal her 3 because she is a monster.
That's true. That is true.
So yeah, if you're not thinking the double fight is going to be useful because everything you're taking is already double fighting,
right?
Then maybe you just take it to heal your Be'lakor and Abraxia.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely like Abraxia. I think she's a good anchor to a Varanguard list for sure.
Yeah.
All right, and then
these guys.
Our Underworld's warband that no one's going to use, but
no, I think this is the TV show models. I think.
Oh yeah. All right. Any combat phase can only use it if he's in combat with a hero. He can fight twice and strike last with the second one, and he can only use the second fight ability if it's also in combat with an enemy hero, and he has to pick the enemy hero for all of his attacks. And he can use it if any enemy heroes were slain by him, and he gets a 4-up ward for the rest of the battle. 10 attacks with crit mortals. I mean,
yeah, that's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's probably only going to do like 2 mortals when he attacks, but considering he can do that fight twice thing, he very well might be taking out some heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then next guy in the warband, an 18-inch bow shot, 2 attacks with crit auto wound, and D3 damage.
Yeah. I mean, you barely have any shooting in your list because you're not taking, Soul Grinder. So chip damage is chip damage.
Yep. And only critical hits can be successful hits against him with shooting attacks. And then you add 1 to the Ren characteristic of his bow if enemy units are within 6 inches of Gunner Brand.
Yeah.
All right. And then the rest of his unit that follows him around. Actually, wait. This is just a third dude, right?
I don't remember. I think there are like other random guys because I think total there's 5 of them.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. While he is on the
you get 2 other like regular warrior dudes.
While Broken Adja is on the battlefield, he's a wizard. On his spell, you can pick a visible enemy hero with an 18, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target, and subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of the target's melee weapons until the start of your next turn. And 2 of them have heavy Darkoath weapons, 4 attacks with damage 2 crit mortal. That's a lot of crit mortal in that little warband.
Yeah. It's 280 points for 2 heroes and a 3-man squad, which is a lot, but it's also how you get a wizard in your Darkoath theme.
Yeah. And how many points is he? He's 280 for
280 for all 3 of those scrolls.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, that's almost a unit of Varanguard, and they are nowhere near as good as Varanguard.
Yeah, this is for the aesthetic. You're doing this for the aesthetic.
Yep. I mean, the models are cool.
Yeah.
I like the models, but otherwise... So that's it.
They are Oathsworn, and Oathsworn does get like a lot of bonuses that we went over. So like the additional other stuff that you can get. Or maybe you just sacrifice Singri to get the rest of your army to get the additional attacks.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great thing. If you need to sacrifice something in order to trigger the entire army getting extra attacks from your sigil, throw this in the fire. Yep. You're not losing anything.
Yeah. Overall, I really like this whole army a lot. I personally, I only care about the Warriors of Chaos side. That's all I'm interested in.
Kind of same. Like, there's a part of me that would love to do the Darkoath army.
Yep.
But I don't want to buy all the Darkoath models.
Yep.
Because I would, in order to do it right, I would need 10 units of foot Darkoath.
Yeah.
And that's money I don't want to invest in it. But if you love the Marauders or you have a lot of the old Marauder models,
yep,
I think it's viable. I don't think it's bad. It just requires a very skilled level of balancing your tactics and your bonuses and a lot of other random stuff that you got to invest in.
Yeah, I need to pick up some Furies, I think.
Oh yeah, Furies are one of the MVPs of this book. I really like the Demon Prince in this. I don't know if I'll have the points to fit him in, unfortunately. He's really cool. I love Be'lakor. I love the Legionnaires. Eternus I'm sold on. Theridons I love. And, like, if you have, like, pet units, I don't think, like, it's... I just wish they made the Dark Elf stuff their own individual book and came out with, like, one or two more support pieces for it.
Yeah, I think it really should be its own book.
Yeah. I think you need to make a plastic war mammoth. And give them some priests, or make the War Shrine Darkoath.
Right. Yeah. Make a new War Shrine model and make it.
Yeah, and make that Darkoath.
Yeah. Personally, I want to power pair a Chaos Lord with some Chosen. I want to put in lots of Varanguard, lots of Chosen. Some other random stuff like Furies and Fell Riders to grab objectives in the backfield. Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount is a great pair with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Eternus,
Be'lakor. I don't know if I'm ever building this list without Be'lakor, and which means I don't know if I'm ever building this list without Eternus, and which means I don't know if I'm ever building this without Legionnaires, and then it spirals out.
Yep. So you kind of go, like, the problem with that though is that, like, that just turns into an army list that is so unfun to play against.
Yeah.
I would rather go down the road of, like, a Demon Prince and Varanguard and stuff like that, so your opponent at least feels like there's a game.
Yeah, but then it's great because the rest of it is just the dumb Darkoath stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's fun. Then it's fair. Then it's not annoying.
Yeah, so I feel like we pretty much hit everything.
Yeah. I mean, slaves, they have a lot of great options. Mark of Nurgle is obnoxiously good, and it's probably the best one on the list.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
Like when you talk about damage, your mind immediately goes to Mark of Khorne, but Mark of Nurgle is just... I was playing with my Night Haunt the other day, and with 4th edition, and I gave them the unlimited spell of -1 to be wounded. My block of Blade Geist would not die.
Yeah.
And having -1 to be wounded is just so good, and it really messes, especially when you also have that endless spell that gives -1 to hit.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm definitely a buyer of the Mark of Nurgle. Mark of Khorne for Varanguard and maybe Theridons.
Yeah. Chosen if you're going that route.
Yeah. Mark of Tzeentch.
Anything that's your hammer basically gets Mark of Khorne. Anything that's basically anything else gets Mark of Nurgle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. Dan, thank you for being here. Once again, we will have to coordinate and see if there's anything else you might be able to join us on. Thank you to everyone for watching. Don't forget, down in the description, we do have the link and discount code for our homies at Dice Trade Depot. Thanks for watching, as always, and we will see you all on the next one. Tomorrow morning, in 12 hours from now, we are doing Skaven with Mr. Vince Venturella.
I gotta see that one.
Yeah. All right.
Excited.
All right.
Bye.
I'll talk to you all later.